Good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday morning to everyone. Hope you're doing well. Trying something a little bit different today. We're going to start from the beginning and show you what I do usually before I even turn the stream on. But today I felt lazy, so I felt like waiting to do this until normally I do this the night before, but I was doing other things last night. So we're going to go ahead and get this ball rolling. Detroit and Cleveland. That is the matchup. Detroit and Cleveland. From Cleveland. I do have the game up on the Strat-O-Matic computer as well, so that I can get the information that I need off of the computer to fill in the score sheet. First things first, we're going to fill in are the records. Detroit comes into this game with a record of 27 and 21. And Cleveland comes into the game with a record of 21 and 30. So we have Detroit and Cleveland. Then we come over here. It is another game on June the 3rd, 1987. It is game number 352 on the replay. So the ballpark effects. Looking at the ballpark effects sheet for Cleveland. Singles are 1 to 11 for both. And home runs 1 to 8 for left and 1 to 11 for right. So that takes care of that. Hello, Kathy and Jeff. Yes, I figured you might enjoy this, Jeff, but mainly it's because I was lazy and didn't get around to doing it earlier last night. So we got Schramm is your starting pitcher against Jack Morris for the Tigers. All right, and of course I got my little things here. So we start with the Tigers. So I pull them out. Find Jack Morris in the back of the stack here. There's Jack Morris. All right, let's get our lineups. First for the Detroit Tigers, leading off playing second base will be Lou Whitaker. And Whitaker is a 2E20 and runs at a 15. So we'll actually move Morris over here. We don't need him right now. That's Whitaker. Batting second is going to be the first baseman, Darrell Evans. Need to find his card. So there's Darrell Evans. He is going to be playing first base in this one and batting second. He's a 4E5 and he runs at a 10. And this is not a ceremonial first sip, but just a pregame sip. And that is good coffee. All right, so Evans bats second. Hitting third will be Kirk Gibson, the left fielder. So Gibson. And I apologize to anybody that thinks this part is a little, I won't say boring, but a little tedious. But some people like to watch it, so I try to do both things. Normally, like I said, this is a rare occasion that I don't have it pre-filled. It's very rare. Usually I pre-fill these things. Usually on the weekend, I pre-fill the whole week in advance, the score sheets, but just didn't do it for whatever reason. All right, Matt Noakes is the DH. He's also normally the one of the catchers, but he will DH, and he runs at a 10. And obviously my penmanship is not good, but hopefully you can still read it. All right, not the regular catcher, but the catcher itself, Mike Heath, will do the catching and hit sixth. His T rating is a 7. So we've got a T7. Don't know his pass ball rating yet. Got to get that off the computer. He's a 2-2 with an E3, and he runs at an 11. And now Jack Morris is a +2 hold with his -2, so we know that that's a 0 on the pitcher-catcher hold for Morris. So that's out of the way. Let's see. Batting in the 7th position is right fielder Pat Sheridan. Get his card out. Pat Sheridan is in right field for this one. And he is a 2 -3 E9. So a good arm there in the outfield. And he runs at a 16. And then batting 8th is going to be center fielder Chet Lemon. Center field is a 2 -1 E4 and running at a 12. So far in the outfield, at least anyway, you see the Tigers have a 3 and a couple of 2s, unlike the other game where Baltimore had all those 4s. So it makes it much better defensively. Batting 9th is going to be the third baseman, Tom Brookins. And Brookins is a 3E21 and a 13. All right, so those are the Tigers, I should say. And then on the bench for the Tigers, you have right-handed hitters Terry Harper and Larry Herndon. You have a switch hitter, Jim Whalewander, and 2 lefties, Bergman and Grubb. Those are the bench players available for Detroit. Hello, John. No, I got this score sheet from, I don't know where he got it from, but I got it from Spokane Steve. He emailed me the PDF for it. It's a 2-page, it's a double-sided PDF, and that's what he sent me. This is the original. This is the Strat Form B right here, but I prefer this. I prefer this one because it gives me more room. I can fit a whole lot more. Like here, you only have 5 slots for both teams' pitchers. Here, I've got 5 slots per team to use for pitchers. So that's what makes it so much better. In the bullpen for the Tigers, they have 2 left-handers. They have Mark Thurman and Willie Hernandez, and 3 right-handers, Snell, Henneman, and Robinson. So we've got 5 bullpen arms available for the Tigers as well. The rest of the guys that are in my little stack here are the other starting pitchers. So we're going to put them away and move on to the Cleveland Indians. All right, we bring out the Cleveland Indians. And this is how I store the cards in the number 7 coin envelopes. Is how I store the cards. All right, so now we're going to go to Cleveland. And let's see, Ken Schramm is the starting pitcher. So I need to bring out Ken Schramm, and there he is. He's got a -1 hold, so we'll see what the catcher, whoever the catcher is, we'll see what he does with that. All right, so leading off as usual is Brett Butler in center field. Move Schramm out of the way temporarily. Brett Butler in center field, and Butler is a 2-0 E5, running at a 16. So that is Brett Butler. Julio Franco is next at shortstop. Franco is a 2 E26, and he runs at a 15. Hitting third will be Pat Tabler. He is the designated hitter in this game. And these are, of course, as played lineups. And then Joe Carter at first base. Will back clean up. And he's a 3 E24 with a 14. Of course, he's 6 years earlier or later on, in 6 years from now, he'll hit the famous home run in the 93 World Series. But in 87, he's struggling in the replay. Here's Mel Hall. He's in left field. And he's a 3 -1 E4. And he runs at a 14. Oops, my 4s don't come out too well. All right, that's Mel Hall. Brooke Jacoby at third base will bat in the 6th position. And he's going to be a 4 E25. Running at 11. Another thing this score sheet does that the original Strat Strat B form doesn't do is it puts the numbers, a batting order number in here, and sometimes that's helpful. So I can keep track of that. Dave Clark gets a rare start in right field for the Cleveland Indians in this game. He will bat seventh. No Corey Schneider in this game. He's getting the game off. 3-0 E10, and he runs at a 14. So Tony Bernazard will bat eighth and play second base. He will eventually get traded in mid-season to Oakland, but he's still with Cleveland right now. 4-22 and a 15. That's why the back of his card shows Oakland, because he does get traded there. And then the catcher, Chris Bando, switch hitting catcher, Chris Bando, will bat ninth. Bando's a +1 arm. We already saw Schramm was a -1 arm, so that means that Schramm also a 0. So both pitchers' catcher interfaces are zeros when it comes to trying to obtain leads and so forth. So Bando, the catcher, his T rating is a 6. He's a 2 +1 E2. Oops. And he runs at a 9. And we got to get his pass ball rating off the computer because, of course, the computer doesn't have the pass ball stuff. All right, so Schramm against Morris is your setup. And on the bench, we go to the bench and the bullpen for the Cleveland Indians. On the bench, they're going to have Corey Snyder, Rick Dempsey, Andre Thornton, and Doug Frobel. They are not showing Carmen Castillo, so apparently he's not on the roster now. So put him in the side. So they have 4 bench players to Cleveland. In their bullpen, they have left-hander Scott Bales. They have left-hander Ed Vandenberg. Those are the 2 left-handers. Right-hander Mark Huseman, Rich Yett, and Mike Armstrong. Those are the bullpen arms available in this game for Cleveland. All right, now that that's out of the way. Oh, also I have to do the wild pitch and balk ratings. So for Ken Schramm, his wild pitch is a 5 and his balk's a 5. So and then Ken Schramm on the replay is 3-3. So I think that finishes off Schramm and all the numbers I would normally put down for Schramm. Looking at Chris Bando for a pass ball rating. So we can fill that in. Chris Bando's pass ball rating is a 9. It'd be nice if it were on the cards, but in 1987, they were not on the cards. All right, for Jack Morris, get his wild pitch and balk rating. He's an 18 wild pitch and a 2 balk. Pretty high wild pitch rating there. Mike Heath will check his pass ball rating, and then we'll be ready to go. His pass ball rating is a 5. All right, so that completes that. And now we'll get everything lined up where I think it needs to be, hopefully, where you guys can see everything, or as much as possible anyway. Might need to take that score sheet down, though. I think the corner's kind of getting up there on me. Not sure why it's folding up like that, but I'll see if I can at least hanker it down so a strong wind doesn't blow it away. All right, so there you go. That's what I go through. That's what I do before I start a game, is go through all those preliminaries. But usually I do that before I even turn the thing on. Yes, Grapes, good morning. And I guess it was a good thing I was doing what I was doing, so that way it gave you time to get here. All right, Ken Schramm on the real season was 6-13 with a 650 earned run average. So obviously not a very good year for Ken Schramm as far as 1987 is concerned. On the replay, he's doing much better. He's 3-3 with a 496 earned run average in 62 innings. He had 154 innings real world, but so far he's made it through 62 innings. And he'll be facing Lou Whitaker. So at least now it looks like the score sheet is all where it needs to be. We got the ballpark effects, got the game number, the date, all the lineups, the team records, the pass ball ratings, the wild pitch and balk ratings, and the pitcher catcher hold ratings. And that cheap tape's not going to hold up very well. Looks like both corners are giving me trouble here. So let's just do this real quick. See if that'll hold things down a bit. There you go, Justin. Well, there's not much to the sauce. There's no it's not like it's mystery meat. We know what's in the sauce. It's just get to see the process. But like I said, to some people that if you're watching this later, not live, but watching it later, you might want to fast forward. Might have wanted to fast forward because we've been on this for about 6-7 minutes, maybe. I don't know how long we've been on here. I don't think it says on the thing here. Doesn't tell me, so I don't know. But whichever, we're here now. We made it, and we are ready to go. And of course, before we have the actual first pitch of the game, we have the ceremonial first sip. All right. Here is Lou Whitaker to lead it off against Ken Trom. Whitaker on the replay hitting 270, 12 homers, 37 driven in. He hit 265 real world. We get a 4-6 against Ken Trom, and that's trouble. 1-6 is a double. 7-20 is a single. That's a 4. So we got a leadoff double by Lou Whitaker to start things off. This tape is just not going to work. I can tell. It's a cheap tape. Whatever you do, don't buy cheap tape. I learned my lesson on that. All right. Here is Darrell Evans, first baseman. And he is hitting 258 on the replay, 12 homers, 31 driven in. He had 257 real world. So can't get much more accurate than that so far. 2-8 for Evans. He will ground it to third. It's a B, so the runner will have to hold at second base. Lou Whitaker thought about trying to do something, but Jacoby looked him back. And there's one away for Kirk Gibson. Gibson hitting 404 on the replay and just 104 at bats. He ends up with 487 at bats. So he's not even to the quarter pole yet. But certainly 404 is off to a good start. He does not have enough at bats to qualify for the league lead in hitting, but certainly doing very well. 8 homers, 27 driven in. He had 277 real world. So Trom to Gibson. 5-5, and that is a line out right to Joe Carter at first base for out number 2. There was a dot there, but obviously in the first inning, he's not going to be tired. And that'll bring up Alan Trammell, and he is legitimately in the league lead for batting. He's in 152 at bats. He's hitting 395, 11 homers, 34 driven in. He hit 343 real world. Hello, The Rising. Good to see you. And here it's a clutch situation for Trammell. So he will lose a hit on 2-6, and he also loses a couple of hits here, 1-8 and 1-9. That's a 3-7, though, and that's a fly to center, and that will end the inning. So Schramm is able to pitch around the leadoff double. And we go to the bottom of the first. Detroit nothing, and Cleveland coming to bat. And Jack Morris on the mound for the Tigers. He was 18-11 with a 3.38 ERA in real world. On the replay, Morris is 6-4. That's the one thing I forgot to fill in with his replay record, which is 6-4 with an ERA of 3.43. So 3.38 real world, 3.43 on the replay so far. So I'd say that's pretty good for Strat. And leading off will be Brett Butler. Butler also near the top in hitting, but I'm not sure he's got enough at bats. He's hitting 416 and 125 at bats. 3 homers, 13 driven in. He hit 295 real world. 1-5 for Butler, and he draws a walk. That's something else he does he did quite a bit in the real season. Butler walked 91 times, only struck out 55. but he walked 91. So Butler is aboard, and he's going to be looking to get the lead. Again, both pitcher-catcher interfaces are 0, so it's just whatever's on the card is what it is. So to get the lead 2 through 8 or a 12, he'd be a 1 to 13, with just the -2 being held being the only factor. So he's going to try for that lead, 2 through 8 or a 12. And he gets the lead. So he's a 15, being held as a 13. So 1 to 13, you're talking a 65% chance, so they're going to send him. And he's at a 20. Everybody's out on a 20. Boy, he's just catching a bad break there as Lou Whitaker put on the tag. And Brett Butler is erased from the base pass. This little thing here, I didn't use a big enough piece of tape, apparently. Try it again. We'll see how it does here. All right. Taped it to the table. Maybe that will help keep it down where it needs to be. But anyway, Brett Butler is out of there, 2 to 4, as Whitaker was covering with a right-hander batter at the plate in Julio Franco. So caught stealing, and now the bases are clear for Julio Franco. So we'll get the numbers on Franco. Oops, get this back up here on the computer, get it straight. All right, Franco on the replay is hitting 299, 3 homers, 25 driven in. He hit 319 real world. 3-7, and that's a fly to center. Chet Lemon is there, 2 down. And that'll send us to the designated hitter, Pat Tabler. Tabler hitting 341 on the replay, 4 homers, 29 driven in. He hit 307 real world. 4-7, and that is a ground ball shortstop X. That's Trammell. We know he's going to get to it with a 1. So we're just checking the E21. We're just checking the E21 for Trammell. E21 is a 6, 15, and 17. And that is a 13, so he'll make the play, and that will end the inning. That will end the inning. So the caught stealing took the kibosh out, or took the starch out of the Tribe's first inning. At the end of 1, we got no score from Cleveland Municipal Stadium, the mistake by the lake. And now that will go to the top of the second for Matt Noakes, designated hitter. It'll be Noakes, Heath, and Sheridan. That's good coffee. Oh, get Butler back where he needs to be. I had Butler out of place here. Got to have Butler back in his proper position for next time. All right, so Matt Noakes on the replay. He is hitting 275, 14 homers, 41 driven in. He hit 289 real world. Schramm 6-5, and that's an in-home run shot straight up. And the double die is a 1. Doesn't get much better than that if you're Matt Noakes. I mean, you got the whole thing there. You don't even need the D20, but just for extra emphasis, they put a 1 on there. But it was straight up, but there's no D20 required. And for Matt Noakes, that is home run number 15. RBI number 42. Double die didn't even need the double die because it was a straight up in-home run chance. It was not going to a split. So Matt Noakes, home run number 15, RBI number 42. And now that'll bring up Mike Heath. Heath hitting 289, 3 homers, 15 driven in. He hit 281 real world. 1-6, and that's a strikeout. So Schramm gets a little bit of revenge there with the first strikeout of the game. And that'll send up Pat Sheridan, right fielder. Sheridan hitting 243, 3 homers, 16 driven in. He hit 259 real world. 6-6, lefty. That's a 1 for a home run. Anything else would be a double. This time, that when he needed the 1, it only came up with a 13, so the double die produces a double for Pat Sheridan. So Sheridan with a double, and that brings up Chet Lemon, center fielder. He's been out of the lineup for a long time. He's finally back in the starting lineup. Let's see. Lemon is hitting he's really been struggling, hitting 193 on the replay, a homer, 8 driven in. He hit 277 real world. Uh, 1-6, and that's another strikeout for Schramm, his second of the inning. And Lemon's struggles continue. And now, clutch situation for Tom Brookins with 2 outs and a runner at second and Sheridan. Brookins in the clutch will lose a couple of hits, 2-9, 2-10. So we got to keep an eye on those numbers. On the replay, 273, 2 homers, 12 driven in. He hit 241 in the real world. 6-10, and that's going to be a ground ball third base X. We're looking at Jacoby. Jacoby is a 4.E25, so that's iffy. And a double die is a 6. That can make it trouble. 4 and a 6 is going to be a single 1 star, so the run will not score unless there's an error. That's an 8. And he is an E25. E25, there's an 8 right there on Jacoby. So it will be a single plus an error on Jacoby, and that will produce the run. It'll be an unearned run, at least for now, unless the next batter gets a hit. Unless Whitaker gets a hit. But that will score the run. Single plus an error on Jacoby. And the Tigers now lead it by the score of 2-0. Still in a clutch situation for Lou Whitaker. Whitaker on the clutch is not very good either. He loses 3 hits in column 3, 3-2, 3-9, 3-10, and he also loses 1 on 2-10. So got to watch out for the anti-clutch for Lou Whitaker. He doubled his first trip, though. 2-8, and this time he draws a base on balls, so he just passes the baton to Darrell Evans. First and second with 2 outs. And Evans, who grounded to third base his first trip in the clutch for Evans, he's much better. He gains 2 hits here. 1-6 and 1-10. He gains 2 hits on the clutch. Nothing on the havoc. 4-4, and that's a fly ball center field X. So we're checking Brett Butler. He's a 2E5. So you would think he would get to that. 2 and 18 definitely gets to that. E5, and we're looking at a 6. E5, there is no 6 there, so Butler does make the play. But 2 runs come in for the Tigers, and this run does end up being unearned because of the fact that he would have been stuck at third base without the error. So that second run that came in was unearned technically, but it counts all the same. And we go to the bottom of the second, 2-0 Tigers. Jack Morris given a 2-0 lead to work with. Will now face off with Joe Carter, first baseman, and he's been the guy who's been struggling the most of anybody in the replay without question compared to his normal numbers. He's hitting 173 on the replay, 9 homers, 18 driven in, and he hit 264 real world. Plus, he had 32 homers. He's almost got half of his at bats, but he's only got 1/3 of his homers. So he's definitely been in the struggling mode. Morris 1-7. That will continue with a strikeout of Joe Carter. First strikeout for Mr. Morris. 1 away. And that'll bring up Mel Hall. Hall, the left fielder. Let's see. Hall on the replay hitting 299. 6 homers, 19 driven in. He hit 290 real world. 3-4, and that's a pop up to third. Easy play for Brookins. Oops, I put a 4 there. It should be a 5. Popped up to third. So first, since 2 batters are retired pretty easily, and here's Brooke Jacoby. His error allowed one of the runs to come in, so he's going to see if he can make amends for it. Jacoby on the replay hitting 340. 8 homers, 30 driven in. He had dead even 300 on real world. It's a 4-8 off of Morris, and that's a strikeout. His second of the ball game and second of the inning. And a shutdown inning for Jack Morris as he puts down the Tribe 1-2-3. Now, we do have a trivia question from Kathy in the top of the third. So while Ken Schramm does his warm-up tosses, you can put your thinking caps on and see if we can figure this one out. It'll be Gibson, Evans. I'm sorry, it'll be Gibson, Trammell, and Noakes due up for the Tigers as they lead it 2-0 over the Tribe. All right. The question is, this National League player led the NL in home runs from 46 to 52. Only player to achieve this feat for 7 straight seasons. Wow. 46 to 52. That's before my time, so I don't know. Jeff says Ralph Kiner. That was my first thought, but I'm not sure if he was playing back in the 46. Maybe he did. I remember it being a home run hitter in the 50s. But Jeremiah, that clue was National League, so Berra is in the American League. So people can make their – oh, Jeff got it with Ralph Kiner. That was my first thought, but I wasn't sure if Kiner was starting back then. But he obviously did. All right. Thank you for that, Kathy. And good answer there, Jeff, right on the spot. Here's Gibson, 2-5, and that's a ground ball to second. Bernazard will make the play to start the top of the third. Here's Alan Trammell. Trammell flew to center his first trip. 5-3. It's a fly ball right field X. We're looking at Dave Clark. He's a 3-E-10. Clark getting a rare start in right field. 3-19 is not going to be a problem, though. E10 and 11 might be. E10, but there is no 11 there, so good play for Clark. And he retires Trammell. 2 up and 2 down to start the third. And that'll bring up Matt Noakes, who homered his first time up. He found that 6-5 result to his liking. This time it's a 3-12, and that's a low max. Boy, he just missed a ballpark blast on a 3-11, but he gets a low max to second base. And Bernazard will snag it to end the inning. So this time Schramm goes 1-2-3. And we go to the bottom of the third, still 2-0 Tigers. Next game will either be tonight or tomorrow. Haven't figured it out. I might try to do one tonight, and that would be Kansas City at Milwaukee. I believe that's Mark Gubaza against Lynn Barker. I think that's the matchup. All right, Dave Clark getting a rare start. He hasn't had many of at-bats. He's only had 16 at-bats, but he is hitting .313 with a homer and 5 driven in. He only had .207 real world in 87 at-bats, but you can't go by 16 at-bats. That sample size is not big enough to make any judgments on it. 4-11 is going to be a ballpark. I'm sorry, 5-11. 4-11 is a ground ball first base X. That's going to be Darrell Evans. He's a 4-E5. The E5's good. The 4 not so good. But the 4 and a 12 probably gets him through it. Check the 4 and the 12, and it is a G3, which is good enough. That is a 9, and he's an E5. No 9 there, so Evans will get to it, and he'll flip to Morris covering for out number 1. Evans is in there for his bat, not his glove. Bergman's a much better defensive first baseman, but Evans the better hitter. Here's Bernazard. Bernazard on the replay hitting .239, 7 homers, 28 driven in. He at .250 real world. 5'9", switch hitter, and that's a strikeout for Morris, his third. 2 up, 2 down, and that's going to send up Chris Bando, the number 9 hitter. Bando hitting .193 on the replay, a homer and 10 driven in. He at .218 real world. Switch hitting catcher. 6'6", and that's a 1-4 triple. 5-20 is a single, and that's a 4. Now, if he didn't have any triples in real world, I'm knocking this down to a double. And he did not, so that's going to be a double, not a triple. I'm not letting a slow-running catcher who never had a triple get one. That's what the computer does. So I've adopted that from the computer. I don't think there's any way Chris Bando, who runs at less than a 10, 9's the second worst run rate you can get. I don't think he's getting a triple. All right, here's Brett Butler in a clutch situation now. .47, and he's going to ground it to Whitaker, 2E20. 2E20 for Whitaker. 2-18, that's good all day long. E20 in the 7 There's no problem there. So that's going to end the inning. So it didn't matter about the double or the triple. It didn't have any effect. But just for realism's sake, we'll keep it as a double. So that's going to end the inning. We go to the top of the fourth. 2-0 ball game. Schramm's fatigue is the 5th inning, so we'll check him next inning for possible fatigue. Morris can go 8 innings before fatigue checks in. Another sip of coffee while it's still warm. I'm sure I will need a 7th inning stretch to heat the coffee for sure. I can already tell it's getting a little cooler. Supposed to get about 2 inches of snow tomorrow. That should be interesting. Here is Mike Heath. 6'8", and that's a ground ball shortstop X. We're looking at Franco, 2E26. 2 and a 6 is going to be fine. Franco, the 9, and he's an E26. E26, there's no 9 there, so Franco makes a nice play and will retire Mike Heath. And, of course, with the forecast of an inch or 2 of snow, the grocery stores will be packed today, I'm sure. People panicking. That's what they do around here. They panic. Here's Sheridan. 2-7, and that's a strikeout for Sheridan. And for Schramm, that is strikeout number 3. That'll bring up Chet Lemon. Three 6, and that is a triple 1-3. Single 4-20. That's an 8. So we're going to settle with the 2-out single for Chet Lemon. He needs a hit in the worst way. He was really struggling there. Lemon, no threat to run. He didn't even have any attempts at stealing any bases, so he will stay put. Here's Brookins. Nothing on the havoc. Brookins singled his first trip. 5-8, and that's a pop out to Jacoby at third. That will end the inning. So nothing doing there. A 2-out single, but nothing comes of it. We go to the bottom of the fourth. Still 2-0. Jeffrey does have a question for us at the top of the fifth. But right now, that's going to probably mean that bottom of the fourth is going to be prolongated or elongated because it normally happens that way. Although the way Morris is pitching, it might be 1-2-3. Here's Franco. 2-11 for Franco. He's going to pop it up to third, and Brookins is there. 1 away. Morris seems to be on his game right now against a very good Cleveland lineup. Here's Pat Tabler. 5-7, and that is a ground ball second base X. We're looking at Whitaker. He is a 2E20. 2 and a 14. He will get to that, but that 17 is a little iffy on an E20. So go to E20. 17 is right here, a 2-base error on Lou Whitaker thanks to the 17 on the 3 dice. So it wasn't the double die here that got him in trouble. It was the 3 dice that got him in trouble. 3 blind dice. And there it is. 17 is a 2-base error on Lou Whitaker. The normally sure fielding Lou Whitaker. 2-base error. Jack Morris had to look at Whitaker like, what the hell? But that's what happened. Here's Joe Carter. Continues to struggle. He struck out his first trip. That's a 1-11, and that's a pop up to first. So his struggles continue as he just meagerly pops it up to Darrell Evans. 2 down. Now we're in a clutch situation for Mel Hall. And Mel Hall in the clutch looks like he's completely neutral. I don't see any adjustments there. So he's completely neutral in the clutch. That's a 3-7, and he's going to hit a single to right field. Sheridan has a good arm. Tabler doesn't run all that well. Let's do the calculations really quickly. He's an 11. There are 2 outs, makes him a 12. He was not being held, makes him the 2 outs makes him a 13. He was not being held, makes him a 14. But then Sheridan, a -3 arm, makes him an 11. So 1 to 11, we're talking about a 55% chance. There's probably not a 55% chance that Jacoby's going to get a single, so we are going to send him. And since Hall is a 14, he would take second on the throw. But Cleveland's going to send him, and Detroit's just not going to give up a free run. So they're going to throw for the plate. Sheridan's throw coming in 1-14. He's safe. 15-20. He is out. He is out at the plate. What a throw by Sheridan, and what a block of the plate by Mr. Heath. And he is out 9-2. Nice throw there by Sheridan. And Tabler is out at the plate, and the Tribe can't believe it, but that's the way it goes. But you figure you have a pretty good chance of scoring there, about a 70% chance, and it just didn't work out. It's the way the cookie crumbles. All right, and now we're ready for your question, Jeff, if you want to fire away while I get Ken Schramm his warm-up tosses. This will be Ken Schramm's fatigue inning, number 5. So we'll keep an eye on that, and he will be facing the top of the order, Whitaker and so forth. Let's see here. What does he say here? Which Oriole batter made the last out of the 1960 World? I think that was Davy Johnson. I don't know for sure, but I think it was. And Joel is also chiming in with Davy Johnson. I believe he flied to Cleon Jones in left field. So anyway, very good, Joel. You did it. Yep, flying to Cleon Jones. There you go. All right, here's Whitaker. He's doubled and walked. And this is, again, Schramm's fatigue inning, so we'll keep an eye on that. 5-6, left-handed. Ground ball shortstop X. We're looking at Franco, a 2E26. 2 and a 5, but I think he's going to be okay with a 2 and a 5. 2 and a 5 is a G3. He'll get to that. That's an 8, and he is an E26. I think he's okay with that too. Yep, 12, 17, and 18, the only errors. So good play for Julio Franco, throwing out Whitaker. And the top of the 5th is underway. Here's Darrell Evans. He's 0 for 2. 3-4, and there you go, Jeff, just for you. Clean as can be. 3 and a 4 home run. 3 and a 4 home run for Darrell Evans. I like how, like I said this in the other video yesterday, or the stream yesterday, it's been like this forever, and I just, for some reason, never really caught on to it. The fact that any hit or base runner that reaches in Strat is in all capital letters, and the outs are in lowercase. I thought the home runs at first were the only ones that were like that, but then I looked at the other things too, and singles and walks and whatever also have the same thing. So Darrell Evans, home run number 13 on the replay. He hit 34 real world. Kind of unusual to have Darrell Evans bat second. You think he's more of a run producer, like a 4 or 5 hitter, but they had him hitting second, Sparky did, and this time it pays off with home run number 13, RBI number 32, in his 162nd at bat. And the Tigers now lead it 3-0. And that'll bring up Kirk Gibson. Gibson's 0 for 2. 2-8, and that's a strikeout for Gibson. And for Schramm, that is strikeout number 4. One away for Alan Trammell. He's 0 for 2 uncharacteristically. Yes, he did, Joe. Evans had a tremendous on-base percentage. Very underrated player. Underline of ground. I think that had to do with the older season. If you're playing with an older season or something. I don't know if any of these cards have underlines on them. I never really paid attention. But I know there was something on there about underline ground ball A being like something to do if you're playing with dead ball or something. I don't know off the top of my head. But I do know the rule book addresses it somewhere. I just don't know where it is. But I do know it addresses that situation. Trammell, 6-7, and that's a walk. I believe that's the second walk for Schramm. He did walk Whitaker also. So he's got 4 strikeouts and 2 walks. Hello, Joel. The other Joel Turney. Good to see you. You never found it in the rule book? I thought it was in the rule book somewhere. So maybe somebody's got a rule book handy. They can check it, but I thought it was in there. Trammell has a chance to get a lead with a 5, and of course the 0 factor on the hold, so it would be a 1-17 if he can get that 5, but he cannot, so he will hold. And that brings up Matt Noakes with 2 outs and a runner at first. Noakes is going to ground it to first, and Joe Carter will just step on the bag. The home run from Darrell Evans gives the Tigers a 3-0 lead as we go to the bottom of the 5th. That was the fatigue inning for Schramm, so we'll keep an eye on him. He's going to be pushing fatigue next inning for sure because he's already given up a couple of base runners in a run. Here's Brooke Jacoby. He struck at his first chance. 2-8, and that is a strikeout. Strikes out again. And for Morris, that is strikeout number 4. Oh, 15.2. Thank you, Joel, for looking that up. So, yeah, 15.2. In fact, I'll go to, I got the rule book right in my hands. 15.2. Let me find 15.2 really quickly. Yeah, there we go, right here. 15.2. Advanced side of more recent Strat-O-Matic card sets, you will notice underlined GBA readings on pitching cards and underlined GBC ratings on batter cards. Ignore the underline. Proceed normally when using these players against contemporary opponents. So that's what it's talking about there, Jeremiah. It's on page 6 of the rule book in 15.2. I thought it had something to do with, real old sets or something, but I'm not sure what the gist is on that. So maybe I do have the 1920 set. So maybe if I use the 1920 set, that would, come into play. I'm not sure. Brooke Jacoby struck out. 0 for 2. Here's Dave Clark. 5'8", left-hander. He's going to strike out. So Morris with his 5th strikeout. 2 strikeouts to start the bottom of the 5th. And here's Tony Bernazard. So while the Tigers are getting these runs, Morris is just shutting down the Tribe. 3-7, and that's a ground ball to third. Easy play for Brookins. And at the end of 5 complete, it is the Tigers 3 and the Tribe nothing. All right. Now, like I said, Ken Schramm gave up the home run and the walk, so he's on shaky ground. We'll look at the Tribe bullpen as Jeff has a question for us while I look at the bullpen. See who's got the most rest and everything. We don't want to overuse anybody that's overworked. What did Babe Ruth die of? I don't know. I don't think it was pneumonia or something. I'm not sure. Let's see. Scott Bales, is he somebody else that knows Babe Ruth history? Can answer that one. Jeremiah's guessing something, syphilis or something. I can't read the comment all the way because on my phone is kind of blocked a little bit. Huseman's definitely overworked. Don't want to use him. Armstrong's got a lot of, so Armstrong is the guy who has the most rest. So if they go to the bullpen, that's where they're going to go, is to Michael Armstrong's. But right now, Schramm's going to see how far he can go. So Mike Heath will lead it off. Throat cancer. Okay, I remember him having trouble speaking. I do remember that. Hey, Bart, good to see you in action. Good to see both of you. I remember when he made his speech, he was really skinny and his voice was really scraggly, so that makes sense. All right, here's Heath. It's a 2-3. That's a strikeout plus injury, so Heath might be injured, and that could be problems for the Tigers because their other catcher is the DH. They may lose their DH here. In fact, they will if he gets injured. So Heath with the strikeout plus the injury. So if he's going to be injured, if he gets injured, then the Tigers will lose their DH because they're going to have to pull Matt Noakes to catch, and that's the danger of playing a catcher as a DH. So the batter injury, 1 to 6, he can stay in the game. Anything 7 or higher, he's got to come out. That's an 8, he's got to come out. So it's an insult to injury or injury to insult here as Heath strikes out And now they will have to put in Noakes. Noakes will have to come in and catch in the 6th inning, which means they're going to lose their DH. So the pitcher spot will now hit. Jack Morris will have to hit. Fortunately, he's 9 spots away, but Mike Heath's going to have to go. As he is injured, I do play in-game injuries, and there's nobody else that I can think of. I'll check the roster real quick to make sure there's no other guys that can catch. I don't think there are that are currently on the roster. I don't see anybody else with a catcher rating other than Noakes. So Noakes will now be the catcher, and Noakes is going to be a 4 +1 with an E1. So we'll keep an eye on that. See if that causes any problems. Sometimes starting pitchers don't like to lose their catcher. It kind of messes up the chemistry. So we'll see if that has any effect on things. Here's Sheridan. 3-5 for Sheridan, and that's a single. I'm assuming the Strat computer is going to let me make this change. Now, if the Strat computer screws me up, then I'll have to reverse that and just keep him in the game. But ideally, that's what I prefer to do, is follow the injuries for the game day only. Here's Chet Lemon. 3-6 for Lemon. That's a triple 1-3, a single 4-20. That's a single but 2 stars. So Sheridan will motor to third base. Runners are at the corners. And Schramm is definitely getting ready. Actually, he just reached fatigue. I was going to say he's getting very close. Strat computer just told me he reached fatigue. But they're going to let him keep going. Try to get through the inning. Here's Brookins. Now, my house rule is, now that he's reached fatigue, if he hits a dot result, he gets pulled automatically. Looking for the double play. They're playing back for the double play against Brookins. 6-6. That's not going to happen. Solid double to center field. Solid double to center. That'll score Sheridan. We'll see about Lemon. Lemon runs at a 12, not being held as a 13. 0 arm. 1-13. They're going to go ahead and send him 1-13. Brookins is a 13, so he could go to third on the throw, but Cleveland has to make the throw because they're down. So 1-13, he's in there. And he is. So it's a 2-run double from Tom Brookins, and he will take third on the throw. And that's going to do it for Mr. Schramm. They tried to go with him a little bit longer than maybe they should have, and it backfired, obviously. So Mike Armstrong will be coming on to pitch for the Tribe. So let's enter this in the computer so we can get the final results for Schramm. Well, we can't close the book on Schramm because he's responsible for Brookins at third base. So Tribe will go with Mike Armstrong, a right-hander, against Lou Whitaker. There's several lefties coming up, so maybe they go to the left-hander. Let's double-check this here. They may want to go to a left-hander in this particular situation, so they're going to go to Vandenberg instead. Now that we get the lefties coming up, just makes more sense to go that route. So they will go to lefty Ed Vandenberg. Left-hander Ed Vandenberg. He's at 110% work usage right now, so not too bad. But if a guy's like 150% or something, I don't use him. So Vandenberg on real season was 1-0 with a 5.10 ERA and no saves. In the replay, he's done, well, not so well. He's 3-1, but he does have a save, but his ERA is 8.28. 25 innings pitched and he's allowed 43 hits. So he has not been fooling them, as they say. So Lou Whitaker is up. The infield is in because the runner's at third with 1 out. So Whitaker facing Vandenberg. And so I got to fix this. I put the wrong guy in there prematurely, obviously. So I need to fix this before we get started. It is going to be Ed Vandenberg, the left-hander. And he's -4. Not that it matters any, but he's got a -3 on his hold. I don't think that's really going to affect anything right at the moment. Schramm goes 5 1/3. We'll fill out the rest later. So Whitaker with the infield in, 3-6, and that's going to be a base hit with that plus there. The infield being in cost them, but you really, I mean, you had to. You didn't have any choice. So that's going to get through for the base hit. Base hit, Lou Whitaker. And you can now close the book on Schramm. He going to give up 6 runs. I believe all of them are earned. Unfortunately for Schramm. Fill in the rest of the stuff later on. Here's Darrell Evans. .610, and that's a ground ball third base. Next chance for Jacoby, but he's a 4, so he's going to do well to get to it. Much less think about a double play. And the double die says a 2. You're not even going to make anything. 4 and a 2 is going to probably be a double. Now it's a single 2 stars, so it's a single 2 stars. Whitaker will make it to third base, and the blowout seems to be in full swing. That's a 13. He's an E25. And there's a 13 there, so Jacoby's going to make his second error of the game to add insult to injury. That will score Whitaker and move Evans to second base. So the second time we have a single plus an error on Jacoby. And it's now 6-0 Tigers. Evans at second base with 1 out. And that brings up Gibson. That's a 2. Chance for a balk or pass ball. Pass ball rating on Bando is a 9. That's a 15. There will be no pass ball. Whoops. So here's Gibson. Lefty, lefty. 5-9, and that's trouble again. 1 to 9 is a double. 10 to 20 is a single. That's a single. It's a 2-star single, so that will score Evans. It is now 7-0 Tigers. And Vandenberg is going to come out. He couldn't get anybody out. He has been having all sorts of trouble. So he could not get anybody out. And that's going to be it for him. They're going to go to Armstrong now out of the bullpen, the right-hander against Alan Trammell. See if he can do anything. So Vandenberg didn't get anybody out. And this is the implosion inning for the Tribe. +5 on the whole, but I don't think that's relevant right now. Let's see, 3 hits Vandenberg gave up. And he's given up 2 runs, but he's responsible for that third runner as well. So Trammell is up after the Gibson single. And with Gibson, with the score being what it is, they're gonna not try to steal Gibson. 1-8, and that's a single to center field. There's a clutch effect there, but there are not 2 outs and nobody's on scoring position, so the single is good. The single went on the 1-8 to center field, so Gibson will hold at second base. Jeffrey, Kathy also had a question, top 7, so I'm not sure if you want to redo yours for the bottom or make it a double shot or whatever. Let's see. Trammell, runners at first and second, 1 out. They're going to bat around without a double play. So most likely looking at a bat around here. We get a 5-12. It's ground ball first base X. We're looking at Joe Carter. Carter's a 3E24. 3E24. 3 and a 9. 3 and a 9. His only play is to go the bag himself. That's a 10, so there shouldn't be an error on a 10, you wouldn't think. E24. Nope, 11, 12, 13, and 14, but no 10. So Carter will make the play. The runners will advance to second and third. And now is the official bat around. Some people, it depends on what you want to call a bat around. My definition of a bat around is a batter bats for the second time in the same inning. Some people think if all 9 come to the plate, that's a bat around. But to me, to go around, that means you have to have somebody batting for the second time. But that's just my definition. Everybody has different definitions of that. Hello, Mike. Good to see you. So, you can call it a bat around before that or call it bat around now. I don't know. Um, but actually, I take this back. I had that wrong. That was a bad at bat because Noakes shouldn't have been in the game. He was injured. So let me see if I can figure out how to get out of this on the computer. Not that it matters in the game, but I still want to keep it the way it was. And I think I'm going to have to, I forgot to do it on the computer. That was my problem. So I'm going to have to go back to the bottom of the previous inning and insert Noakes as the catcher and see if the computer will let me do it. That's the first thing. Let's take a look here. See if it will allow me to do so. Oh, I see they never went in the field yet. They're batting around. That's where the problem is. Okay, that's what was throwing me off. So I actually need a pinch hitter. Or we're going to we're going to let Morris hit. We're not going to have a pinch hitter. We'll let Morris hit. So that means that I get to pull out the pitcher hitting card, which you usually don't get to see very often. I'm assuming Morris is a pitcher hitting card 1 since he never hit in real world. So we're going to have Morris hit. That's what was throwing me off, is that I didn't get a chance to put him in catcher, but they haven't gone to the field yet. They batted around. That's what was throwing me off on this whole thing. So that's what got me screwed up the whole time. So let's get this back the way it was. I got to recreate the inning now on the computer. Let's see here. Lemon. All right, Sheridan got on with a single. Lemon singled him to third. This will take just a second to get this cleaned up. Brookins doubled and then went to third on the throw, scoring both runs. And that's when we brought in Vandenberg. So we go to the computer and bring in Vandenberg. This whole injury thing just threw me off, and the batting around threw me off as well. All right, so Vandenberg came in, gave up a single to Whitaker through the drawn-in infield. Then Evans singled and reached extra base on the error by Jacoby to put runners at second and third. Wait a minute, what happened there? Let's do this right. I typed in stolen base plus error, not single plus error. All right, so he goes to second. Whitaker scores. Gibson singled to score Evans. And then they brought in Armstrong to pitch to Trammell. Third pitching change of the inning. Or third pitcher of the inning, second pitching change. And then Trammell singled with Gibson going to second base. And now we got the pitcher, or we need a pinch hitter for Noakes, I should say. But we're going to have the pitcher, Jack Morris, hit. So this is kind of weird. Actually, since it's in the same inning, Noakes technically gets to hit. So actually, we're not going to use Jack Morris in this inning. That's whatever happened on that result, 2-8, I think it was. No, I'm going to re-roll it back because I don't remember what it was now. But Noakes will hit. So got it straight now, I think, hopefully. But technically, when the injury comes up, it's the next inning, not the inning we're in. So we're still in the same half inning he got injured in. So he's gonna bat. He's gonna get a chance to bat here. First and second with one out. And I thought it was a ground ball. Didn't he hit a ground ball to it was a ground ball first base X? I thought it was. It was off of Vandenberg, wasn't it? No, it was off Armstrong. think it was a ground ball first base X, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I believe it was a ground ball first base X, and it was a three unassisted for Carter that moved the runners up. So now we got it, and now Pat Sheridan is your batter in the bat around this, and he led off the inning. Sheridan, I'm sorry, it should be Heath, not Heath was the one that was injured, not Noakes. What am I talking about? I'm getting all confused here. So actually, Heath gets to bat again. Well, these injuries, I'll tell you what, the batting around the injuries got me all screwed up here. So Heath will stay in the game to get this at bat in before we switch over. That's a 2. Yes, Morris will go in Heath's spot, not Noakes' spot. You are correct. I should put the P here. That's what's throwing me off here as well. You are correct. I'm not used to having a DH leave the game. This is unusual for me. So it becomes a catcher. Pitcher goes in Heath's spot, but Heath will get a chance to bat. And we rolled a 2, which is a possible balk or pass ball. Possible pass ball on Bando, which is a 9. No pass ball. So here's Heath to bat. 6-10. It's a ground ball shortstop X. We're looking at Franco. 2E26 for Franco. And the Devil dies a 1, just what Cleveland needed. 2 and a 1 is going to be a single 1 star with a 10. Franco E26, there's no 10, but it's a single 1 star. That's going to score Gibson from third and move Noakes to third base. I'm sorry, move Trammell to third base. RBI single from Heath, and now Heath will leave the game after this. There's 6 runs in the inning so far, and that'll bring up Chet Lemon. I'm sorry, Sheridan, not Lemon. I got him out of order here. Sheridan, not Lemon. It's been a rough inning. 1 is a possible wild pitch, and he's a 20, so you know it's going to be a wild pitch. So that will score the run. 7th run of the inning for the Tribe. Two 6 for Sheridan, and he grounds the second to mercifully end the inning. But 7 runs in the inning for Detroit makes this a 10-0 ball game. Wow, just some rough stuff here. I got to go to the computer and make sure it's going to let me take out Matt Noakes. Sometimes the computer gets a little finicky on what you try to do. So I'm hoping it will allow me to do that. So let's see if we can make that change. Go to their roster, and we're going to make Noakes the catcher. You know what? It's not letting me do it. The Strat computer will not let me do this. Apparently, you can't do it with the Strat computer. So, with that being the case, everything's going back to status quo. Mike Heath's going to finish out the game. I mean, I wanted to do it, but it won't let me do it. So, what can I do? So, we're actually going to have him stay in the game. So, the Strat computer will not let me make that change. It will not do it. I'm not sure if I was playing the game on the computer and he got hurt on the computer, maybe it would let me do it, but try and do it manually, it won't let me do it. So we're just going to say screw it and just stick with what we have. So we go to the box score and finish up the gory details on these Cleveland pitchers. They are terrible. Schramm, 5 1/3 innings, 9 hits, 6 runs, 2 walks, 5 strikeouts. Vandenberg didn't get anybody out, giving up 3 runs. All 3 batters got hits and scored. Armstrong, he's going to keep going, so we can't do his numbers just yet. But Jack Morris, obviously, in a great situation with a 10-0 lead. Well, I got to do it, Jeff. There's no way I can score the game on the computer otherwise. So I can't do it. It would be giving it would be Morris hitting and being charged to Heath with his at bats. So I kind of have to do it that way. All right, here's Chris Bando. The limitations of what's going on there would allow me to do and not do. So let's see, 5-3 switch hitter, fly ball left field X. Looking at Gibson, he's a 3E10. 3-16, he'll get to that. And I really wanted to have the pitcher hit too. I was really looking forward to that, but the Strat computer said no. All right, 3 and a 16 is good. E10 and a 13. E10, there is no 13. It starts with a 14, but no 13. So Gibson makes the play. Bando is out of there. And my coffee's just gotten stone cold, so I'm definitely looking forward to the 7th inning stretch so I can eat my coffee. Especially after that inning, that half inning. Here's Butler, 5-11, and that's a ballpark blast for Butler. He does have normal power. Ballpark blast, 1-8 as a lefty. That's a 3. It's gone. Brett Butler manages to sneak a home run. Look at it again. 5-11 on Morris is a ballpark blast. If we look at the Tribe Cleveland Stadium, left-handers are 1-8. Double Dye's a 3. And he's got normal power. He's got weak power against lefties, but normal against righties. So it's gone. Butler had 9 home runs in the real season. And he gets one right here. Apparently all of his homers were against right-handers because he has no chance to get one against lefties on his card or, anywhere actually. So home run for Butler that's his 4th on the replay. He had 9 real world. That's his 4th on the replay. And that's his 14th run batted in, and the Tribe are finally on the board. They break the shutout drought. All right, here is Julio Franco, shortstop. 3-8, and that's a ground ball to short. Trammell will take care of that one away. Morris is fatiguing, and he's not until the 8th, so he's definitely in good shape fatigue-wise. Here's Tabler. 6-9, and that's going to be a strikeout for Morris. There's a dot there, but of course he is not tired, and that will end the inning. So we go to the top of the 7th. And I told you, when you do those trivia questions, it seems to, for whatever reason, extend the inning leading up to it, makes the trivia questions go cold. So apparently we have a double shot coming up, one from Kathy and one from Jeff. Mike Armstrong's coming back out there, but they really don't have a whole lot. I mean, it's 10-1, so you're not going to waste other pitchers. He does have a relief factor of 2, so possibly could give him some innings here. So if you look at the chat, and we'll see what Kathy or Morris had 1 lifetime at bat, Joel. Okay. I don't know if it was an 87 or not, but it was just kind of weird that the computer won't let me do it. So who was the first player to sign for $1 million a year? Well, you think about that now, that'd be a bargain, wouldn't it? Your utility infielders get $1 million a year now. In fact, I think Bobby Bonilla gets that every year. Who was the first $1 million baby? That's the question. And that I don't know. I don't know when that money started balancing in that direction. If anybody's got a guess, they can have at it. All right, so since the Strat computer didn't allow it, we're going to keep Heath as the catcher, and we keep Noakes as the DH. It's just a mess because it didn't allow me to do it. Somebody's guessing Action's guessing Hot Dog Jackson. Jeff guesses Messerschmitt because he was the first free agent. I think Catfish got more than $1 million, so I don't think it's him. It had to be somebody before Catfish. Or maybe he got it $1 million a year over a couple of years. I'm not sure what the totals were there. All right, while they're guessing, we'll move on with the top of the 7th so we can get this game going. Chet Lemon, 2-6, and that's a split chance. 1-4 is a single. That's an 18. He will line it to short. And been low on lineouts in this game. Usually get a lot more lineouts than that. So a liner to short. Lemon is out of there, and here's Tom Brookins. It's a 5-11, and that's a ballpark blast. It's a 1-11, but that's a 15, so it's a deep fly to left. And there are 2 away. We have guesses coming in, but Kathy, you might have to give us a hint on that because this might be a tougher question than we can handle. Here's Whitaker. 3-7 for Whitaker, and he hits a solid double. Solid double for Whitaker. He's done really. Whitaker is 4 for 5. I'm sorry, 3 for 4 with 2 doubles, a single, and a walk. Oops, and I put it in the wrong column. It should be in the 7 column, not in the 6 column. There's where that batting around screwed me up again. It has not been a clean scored game for sure with all the chaos. All right, so a 2-out double off the bat of Whitaker. And here's Darrell Evans. Again, by rule, it's still a clutch situation, but is it really clutch when it's 10-1 is my question. So here's Evans. 3-7 for Evans, and that's a strikeout to end the inning. So we will get ready to go to the 7th inning stretch. See if we can get questions on the, was it Nolan Ryan? It is Nolan Ryan. Okay, cool. I'm sure they would think he was well worth it. All right. So Jack Morris will come out. Jeff's got his double shot question for you. And I'm going to get ready to set up the take me out to the ball game and refresh my coffee. He's got a long question, so it's a good question to lead into the 7th inning stretch with because it's going to take some time. I named the 14 major league players who died in plane crashes, some as pilots, some as passengers. All right, I know a couple, but I can't think of that many that quickly. I think of 2 off the top of my head, but that's about all I can think of. So while all that's going on, I'm going to take a stretch break and go heat my coffee because this has been a long game, and that's caused my coffee to pretty much turn colder than room temperature, it seems like. So I am going to set things up for the 7th inning stretch, and maybe when I get back, we'll get an answer to Jeff's trivia question. But for now, we're going to have take me out to the ball game, and I'm going to go heat my coffee. All right, coffee has been heated, so that's a good thing. And I got to stretch around a little bit. That's also a good thing. A lot of good things came of that. Let's see here. Bart has won. He says Hubs. I knew Clemente and Munson. I have no idea who Hubs is. Never heard of Hubs. I knew Clemente and Munson. Did not know anything about Hubs. I don't even know who Hubs is. Ken Hubs. Never heard of him. Must have been from like the 30s or 20s or something. Or not the 20s. Must have been from the 40s or something. I don't know. Let's get this coffee. Go make sure it's warm enough. I hope it is. I did zap at 30 seconds, so hopefully that will be enough to get me by. Bottom of the 7th, Joe Carter. Second baseman for the Cubs in the 60s. Oh, okay. All right. Here's Joe Carter. Carter is 0 for 2. 6-12, and that's Morris. 6-12. Ground ball pitcher B. There's a dot there, but he is not tired, so easy play. And that's also if you're playing injuries in the, I guess it's in the advanced rules or whatever, a 6-12, if the DH had been bad, you'd be checking for an injury, but Carter's not the DH. So here is now Mel Hall. 3-4 for Hall, and he's going to pop it up to third. Brookins is there. So despite the long previous inning, Jack Morris is coming out here in the bottom of the long previous inning, the 6th. He hasn't lost his touch. He's been in control the whole way. Here's Jacoby, 4-6, and that's a strikeout. And for Morris, that is strikeout number 6. So Morris pitching 7 shutout frames. There's no reason he can't pitch a complete game. I don't see any reason at all why he can't. Not with a 10-1 lead. You would think he certainly could. So we start at the top of the 8th. They're going to let Armstrong keep going until his arm falls off, basically, because he's the lame duck here. Here's Gibson. Of course, I think the Tigers might start using some bench players. So we're going to get a pinch hitter for Gibson. It's going to be Johnny Grubb. So Sparky's going to clear his bench a little bit. So Johnny Grubb will pinch hit in the 8th and play left field in the 8th. So Johnny Grubb will be the first bench player. Gibson finishes the day 1 for 4. And Johnny Grubb will make an appearance. Johnny Grubb. Johnny Grubb. Grubb on the real season hit 202. On the replay, he is hitting 207. 5'11", and that's a ground ball pitcher C. Don't see that very often, where there's a C on a pitcher, but got it here. So Grubb is out, and now we'll get a pinch hitter for Alan Trammell. And they will go with Jim Whalewander. So Whalewander will pinch hit for Trammell, give him the rest of the game off. He will pinch hit in the 8th and play shortstop in the 8th. So Whalewander. Trammell finishes the game also 1 for 4, or 1 for 3, I guess, actually. Oh, and I just noticed something on this computer. I hope it's accurate. It's telling me Bill Madlock is on the roster. I didn't think that trade came around till later, but apparently Bill Madlock is available now for the Tigers. So that's interesting. I won't use him this game, obviously, but that is something to look forward to going forward. All right, here is Whalewander. 4'11", switch hitter batting left is a walk. So Whalewander will draw the base on balls. And that'll bring up Noakes. And they'll pinch hit for Noakes as well. as he's got a hit. I don't want to pinch hit for anybody that doesn't have a hit because I want him to be able to keep a hit streak going if they got one. But Noakes, that's not a problem. So we need to pinch a DH, and it's going to be Larry Herndon. He'll get it at bat at DH. When it's 10-1, you can clear the benches and give your bench guys a chance to get some at bats. So he will pinch hit in the 8th inning. Will Larry Herndon for Matt Noakes. So Herndon for Noakes. 5-9, and that is a walk. So back-to-back walks, and now Armstrong is tired. He's going to have to stay in the game because he got a catch. You don't have any choice. 1-5, and that's a split chance. 1-11 is a single. That's a 16, so he lines it to short for out number 2. 2 down, and that's going to take us to Sheridan, but we'll get Harper to pinch hit for Sheridan. Terry Harper will pinch hit for Sheridan. Terry Harper, get him an at bat. And he'll stay in the game and play right field. So we'll bring in Harper. Sheridan was 2 for 4. Harper. There he is. Harper. All right, Harper on the real season hit 203. On the replay, he is hitting 268. He's doing very much better. "5-9", and that's another walk. So the bases are now loaded for Chet Lemon. Chet Lemon gets to bat with the bases loaded and 2 outs. Armstrong is fatigued, so we hit one of those dots. He's got to come out. 1-3 is a ground ball to third, though, and that will end the inning. So he pitches around a whole lot of mess, and they'll get somebody else to pitch the 9th. We might have a position player pitch the 9th, most likely. So Lemon is out of there. We're also going to have a defensive switch as Darrell Evans will be lifted at first base, and they will bring in Dave Bergman to play first base. That'll clean the bench off. Everybody on the bench now, except for Madlock, who I didn't know about. So Madlock's going to sit this one out. But we're going to have Bergman play first base in the bottom of the 8th. And Bergman's a much better defensive first baseman. He's a 2E12 compared to the 4E5. So Bergman will get an at bat. He'll bat third next inning, so he's guaranteed to get at least one at bat. So we're going to have him in there, and I got to put him in the game on the computer. So first of all, we've got to do Lemon's ground out to get that off the computer. And now we need to put in all these changes. Whale Wander is at short. Grubb is in left. Bergman is at first. And Harper is in right. And that clears the bench, other than Madlock, who I didn't even know was going to be on the bench. So anyway, they don't need Madlock right now, so there's no reason to put him out there. While this chaos is going on, Jack Morris is just pitching wonderfully, so they're going to let him keep going. Here's Dave Clark. 3-8 for Clark, and that is a strikeout. So strikeout number 7 for Jack Morris. And that'll bring up Bernazard. Bernazard's 0 for 2. 2-4, and that's a ground ball right back to Morris for out number 2. I'll bring up Chris Bando. 3-7 for Bando. He strikes out. Strikeout number 8 for Morris. Looks like he's getting stronger as the game goes on. All right, so the Tribe will need a new pitcher. Let's get the numbers on Armstrong off the Strat computer. Obviously, I don't like these blowouts. It doesn't make it fun when it gets to be this bad of a score. 2 2/3. He didn't pitch that badly. 2 2/3 innings, 3 hits and a run. He did walk 3 guys. And now coming in to pitch for the Tribe will be a position player. They're not going to waste anybody else in the bullpen on a game like this. So let's see who they want to bring in to pitch. They will bring in Corey Snyder. Corey Snyder will come in to pitch. How about that? We're going to have Corey Snyder come in and give it a go as a pitcher. Corey Snyder. And he will be facing Brookins, Whitaker, and Berg. Due up for that. And of course, we roll a 4, 5, or 6. We will consult the position player pitching card that's in the rule book. Right here, we'll reference this area here if that happens. Right now, it'll be it'll be Tom Brookins to lead it off, followed by Whitaker and Bergman. And we get a 5-4, so we're going to this chart right here. He is a righty. So 5-4 righty is a ground ball second base X. We're checking Bernazard. Bernazard's a 4 E22. 4 and a 10 should get to that. 4 and a 10 he does. That's a 14, and he's an E22. There's no 14, so good play as Bernazard makes the play, 1 away. Brookins is retired. Here's Lou Whitaker. 1-6 for Whitaker. He flies to center. And now here's Bergman with his first at bat of the game. And we'll get the numbers on Bergman, both on the season and on the replay. In the 87 season, he had 273 with 6 home runs and 172 at bats. So some good power. 6 home runs and 172 at bats. Of course, 89% of his bats came against righties. So Bergman hitting 204 on the replay. 3-4 for Bergman, and he's going to ground it to short. So how about that? Corey Snyder pitches a 1-2-3, top of the 9th. I think the Tigers are pretty much checked out offensively anyway, knowing the game is pretty much over. So now the only question is, can Jack Morris get a complete game? That's the only drama remaining. Here's a guy who hit the home run off him, cost him a shutout, is Brett Butler. So we'll see what Butler can do. 1-9 for Butler. That's a 1-16 triple. That's a 13, so Butler triples. How about that? We get a triple and a home run, but he doesn't get the single or the double. So much for wasting a triple that could have been used toward a cycle chance, but that's okay. Infield obviously back in a 10-1 game. Here's Franco, 1-8 for Franco, and he's going to single to right field. And I wonder if Morris might be starting to get fatigued a little bit. It's now 10-2. Strat computer says he's still okay because he pitched a clean 8th, so he has full endurance into the 9th. Here's Tabler, the DH, but I think Cleveland's going to go to the bench and get some of their guys in the game. Actually, no, Tabler doesn't have a hit yet, so we're going to let Tabler hit. 6-4 against Morris, and that's an in-home run chance, 1-4, but that's an 11, so he flies to left, and that's 1 away. 1 down. Joe Carter doesn't have a hit yet either, so we're not going to pinch hit for him. I don't think he has a hitting streak to worry about. 1-8, and that's a 1-16 single. And as soon as I say that, he gets a single. 1 star. How about that? Single with a star. Now, I believe we will get a pinch hitter for Mel Hall because he has a hit already, so we're not going to lose any hitting streak on him. So they're going to go to Doug Frobel and give him an at bat. Doug Frobel. Pinch hitting here in the 9th for Mel Hall. And and Morris is now officially tired. So we'll bring in Doug Frobel. And for Frobel, he only hit 140 at bats. In the replay, in 12 at bats, he's hitting 250. So he's ahead of the schedule, but only 12 at bats. You can't really go by anything. Here's Frobel. 1-3, and that's a foul out to the catcher Heath for out number 2. And that'll bring up Jacoby. So 1 out away from this monstrosity finally being over. Seemed like I've been playing for 2 hours. That 6th inning really did it to me. 111 for Jacoby, and that's a walk. Just what I needed, more walks. So Morris on fumes, trying to get through this game and get a complete game. And he'll be facing Dave Clark. So Clark will be up with the bases loaded and 2 outs. .36 for Clark, and he struck him out. That's the ball game. Jack Morris finishes in style with strikeout number 9, and the Tigers win a laugher 10-2 over the Tribe. And we'll get the gory details from the box score. Jack Morris gets the complete game victory. He improves to 7-4. He went 9 innings, so obviously 6 hits, 2 runs. They were earned, 2 walks and 10 strikeouts. Let's see, total line score for the Tigers, 10 runs, 15 hits, and an error. For Cleveland, 2 runs, 6 hits, and 3 errors. Tigers left 10 on base, so it could have been a lot worse, but they did leave 10 on base. But Jack Morris, as far as I can tell, he should be the player of the game, although Whitaker did go 3 for 5. But I think the complete game victory, you have to give the player of the game to Jack Morris. He improves to 7-4, and he lowers his ERA to 3.29 on the replay. Chuck, I'm not sure what you're talking about. We're just having fun here, and all I can say is if it's not your cup of tea, not your cup of tea. All right, so the Tigers with the win improved to 28-21. Let's see what that does on the standings. For the standings, 28-21, so they're 5 games back of Milwaukee, and Milwaukee will be playing the next game against Kansas City. But they are 5 games back, 6 in the loss column. Or not his cup of coffee if we're talking coffee. I don't know. So we will be turning the page literally and figuratively and going to Kansas City and Milwaukee. And also I need to add Bill Madlock to the roster for the Tigers. So I did not realize he was I did not realize that he was on the roster, but he is, according to the Strat computer. I need to look this up and verify it, but I'm going to assume he is really on the roster now. I don't think Strat computer would just put him there without saying, without knowing for sure. So let's see when the next game is. Well, I know what the next game is going to be. It's just a matter of when to play it. There are 2 games left on the June 3rd schedule, 1 in Milwaukee and 1 in Texas. And since I like to go east to west, we're going to do the Milwaukee game first. And that'll be Len Barker for the Brewers against Mark Gubiza for the Royals. Milwaukee is in first place, and Kansas City is fighting for first place in the West, trying to catch Oakland. All right, this will be game number 353 that'll be coming up either tonight or tomorrow. Haven't decided which. Just filling in the preliminaries now, so I'll be ready to go tomorrow or whenever. I won't have to wait around. Milwaukee County Stadium. Ballpark effects. It's symmetrical, so singles are 1 to 6. Home runs are 1 to 5 when it comes to the ballpark. Let's see here. Milwaukee, let me get their records real quick here. What am I doing here? Come on. Get over here. Keeps wanting to do this on me here. This manual. There we go. Jeremiah, I'm assuming you're joking saying tomorrow is National Trivia Day. Although there's every day of the year is a day for something. So I don't know what, you could pick your favorite whatever pastime, make it National Ice Cream Day or whatever. All right, so the Royals are 24 and 24. And Milwaukee 32 and 15. They are first place in the Eastern Division. So I'll finish the rest of this offline, but okay, that's what I thought. Okay. Although you never know. I'm sure one day in the calendar probably has that as a day, because that's just the way things are these days. Everybody likes to have something going on. All right, so that's going to do it from here. Like I said, hopefully tonight we'll play this Milwaukee Kansas City game, and I'll have the score sheet all filled out, ready to go when the game time comes around. And then on Friday, we're looking at Chicago at Texas, and we'll see what we get off Chicago and Texas. Hey, Joe, is that the way you can do it on the Strat computer? I have to put the pitcher in as a batter. I don't know how to do that on the computer, though. I would have to move the pitcher. Does the pitcher go into the DH slot? Or he would go in? I guess I'd have to grab the pitcher off the pitcher menu. I'll try it just as a test. I'll do that offline somewhere. I'll test it and see if I can get that to work. So the next time that happens, I'll be able to make that change like I wanted to. Not that it mattered here. I mean, the game was well out of hand, but I do appreciate you letting me know that, Joe. I will try that and give it a go on the Strat computer. Right now, it's time to put all the cards away and bring out the other cards for the next game later on. But I do appreciate everybody joining me for this game here on this Thursday morning. Weekend is quickly approaching for everyone. Of course, in my situation, every day I lose track of what day is what. So I'm lucky I can figure out what day it is. All right. Oops, wrong group of stuff here. Okay. Thanks to everyone again. Hope you all have a great day wherever you are. If you're getting snow, if you're up in the northern or eastern regions, you might be getting some snow. That would be interesting. Kind of early for us to get snow, but that's what they're calling for. But I mean, not a big amount, an inch, maybe two at most, tops. But like I said, around here, people freak out. So that's the thing. If you're in the South, and you get any kind of snow whatsoever, people panic and freak out. So, all right. Thanks to everybody. And until next time, enjoy playing whatever game you choose to play, however you choose to play it. And I will see you all down the road.